August 19, 2019, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari declared that the borders with Benin Republic and Niger be closed, declaring that the time had come to end the rampant smuggling of rice and other commodities into Nigeria from those countries. Although the closure doesn't apply to the movement of persons, the blockade has had a ripple effect to importers and exporters, affecting traders and production across West Africa.
Before the closure of the borders, we produce about 320 tons a day here. Most of our productions is kept in the warehouse unsold. We hardly sold 3-5 trucks a week, and with the closure of the borders, as you can see, we don't have stock on ground. Whatever we produce is being loaded out to the market immediately. So basically, I will tell you the closure of the border has improved our business. We produce about 4 to 4.5 trucks of finished rice. Right now we have demand maybe about 6 to 7 trucks daily from my own company. If they open the borders, it will really take us back to where we are.
Kafayat Bankole, a sales manager at MCPVC Plastics Limited, tells us how this has affected business operations.
So since the border closure has not been lifted, this is going to be a big problem, as we might end up not being able to sell some of our stock, as most of our sales, a percentage, around 35% of our sales is made to the neighboring countries like Niger, Chad, Cameroon. Before the closure, it has been around 800 metric tons monthly, and after the closure, we are forced to drop to around 600 to 500 tons monthly. As a result, we're forced to lay off some. This has already destabilized us for the upcoming year, because if you're unable to sell and the season is off, what do you expect to do? This is going to be a serious setback to us.
At this point, we return to the basics of the dispute. Dele Ayemibo, lead consultant, 3T Impex Trade Academy, gives us insights to events leading to the border closure and trade disputes.
The government is of the opinion that our neighbors are not being friendly.
Okay.
The neighbors are allowing items that the government are prohibited from entering to become a conduit for bringing into Nigeria. Such that you have situation where products that have been banned in Nigeria, the rate of import in the neighboring country tends to increase. And that increase is as a result of the influx into the country. Yeah.
But who is really to blame for all of this drama going on?
The government have to be responsible. The government have to be responsible, because they have agency at the border that is supposed to help prevent all that from happening. But for one reason or the other, the agency have not been able to do that. And I can understand why. The land borders in Nigeria is, some people say it's up to 1,000. There's so many snitches about the quantum of the borders in Nigeria. And it seems as if they are overwhelmed.
We just signed the AFCFTA agreement, and then next we are shutting our borders. Does this send mixed signals to the international community?
AFCFTA actual trading takes place from July, August next year. If this had happened when the trading activity have started, sincerely it would have been horrible. It would have been horrible in the sense that we will have signed on one hand and then saying we are no more interested on the other hand.
But would this really affect, the trading opportunities in the country, or is it a plus for the economy?
A plus on the imports to prevent those things from entering, or a big challenge on the export. So for the exporter, who typically will legally export their goods through the land borders to Niger, to Benin, to Togo, to Cameroon, all of them are having issues now. And I think that's a major challenge really, because now in the bid to solve a problem, we are creating another one.
Analysts say the manufacturing sector may be most affected, considering the manufacturing production in Nigeria increased to 0.4% in March 2019, double 0.2% mark of the previous month. Mansour Ahmed, President, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, highlights the impact this blockade is having on manufacturers and the organized private sector.
In the textile sector, in the food and beverages sector, we've seen a lot of problem. Even in the cement sector, some of our cement manufacturers have been exporting quite a substantial quantity of cement. So we are also losing foreign exchange, by the way, because we're not exporting when we should export. But I think two things really affect manufacturers. One is the lack of preparedness. I believe that if there has been some consultation which will have enabled our members to see what they can do to alleviate some of the difficulties that subsequently were caused by the sudden closure, perhaps that would have reduced the pain. Secondly, initially, as you recall, we were told that it was going to be a temporary arrangement, maybe for about 4 weeks or something. But then now it is assuming an indefinite status. And I think that is really causing concern because, frankly, this will disrupt the businesses of many of our members that have been legitimately exporting some of their products across the region, or indeed importing inputs from parts of the region. Closing the borders is not an ultimate solution. The earlier we sit down with these countries and negotiate workable solutions, the better.
What measures can importers and exporters put in place to stay afloat in business? We seek the answers from an expert. Muda Yusuf is Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
The border closure has led to sharp increases in prices for some food items. For instance, the price of rice has increased by about 20 to 30%. The price of vegetable oil has increased. For the government, our tariff policy currently is too high. And the huge differential in tariff policy is a critical factor in all of this. Secondly, the cost of production in this economy is too high. That is also encouraging, that has caused the disparity in prices and encouraging smuggling. We need to look at our foreign exchange policy. When you have a strong currency encourages imports and penalizes exports. So we need to look at our ports. Nigerian ports is one of the most expensive globally. We need to look at issues of infrastructure, issues of documentation, and issues of the institutional disposition of agencies at the ports. There are quite a number of small businesses that all they know how to do is to trade across borders. So those ones, we need to reckon with that. Of course, for those who are into domestic production, it's an opportunity to expand their production to meet up with the huge local demand, which many of them obviously cannot cope with. Because we know currently there's a major supply gap. In rice, for instance, we have a shortfall of about 2 million metric tons in terms of supply-demand gap in rice. This is not a gap you can fill within a week, not even within a year. We may likely see a lot of migration now to the use of the seaports for purposes of moving goods across the sub-region, which is very expensive. And that is why many of the small traders and all of that cannot use the sea. Because for you to use the sea, you need the volume. The volume has to be big. Unless you begin to see instances of maybe collaboration or aggregation of exports to the West African sub-region. That is likely to be the long-term outcome of this policy.